Been a rough like 2 weeks.
Oh, sweetheart. Yeah, I hear you. I hear you. Well, your sweater looks beautiful. I'll tell you that.
Thank you.
Um,
It won Best in Show.
Yay. All right, team. So, I'm Hazel. I'm from Curtis Memorial Library, and this is the Lot Mutual Aid Group. And today we are so lucky to have Olivier with us, who's going to talk all about their amazing makerspace and tool library that's kind of outside the traditional library system. And correct me when I'm wrong, Olivier, but all run by amazing volunteers. Is that right?
Yeah, but well, not 100%, but I'll get to that. Yeah,
Fair enough.
yeah,
Awesome.
yeah,
Well, on that note, I'll turn it over to you. So I was thinking
yeah,
we'll have you talk for a little bit and then we'll pepper you with questions. Does that still sound good?
yeah, absolutely. I have some slides, of course,
So you
just to
probably
give
want
you.
power to share. I should give that
Yeah,
to you, huh?
yeah.
Let me solve that problem. All right. Okay, you should now be a co-host.
Yeah, and then here. Mhm. Right, so you should be able to see my first slide here.
Yes,
All
perfect.
right, great. So to start off, these are a number of slides that we also have online for people to check. I'm not going to go through all of them, but there's some information, some inspiration for those who want it. So I'll improvise a little bit because usually I do these kinds of presentations for audiences that don't know the concept that well. And I'm sure you've had quite a few library things, and especially also two libraries on other occasions. So, of course, I will not bother you with what it is. I'll just give you first a brief explainer of where we're coming from and where we're at, how we started. So I'll hop on to my next slide right away. So this is basically a picture of yeah, a group of volunteers and yeah, myself in the middle when I still had a bit more hair. So it's it's actually quite a few years ago when we did this retreat and we thought about the future and yeah. So basically we launched in 2015. It was myself and a group of friends and basically we had a bit of time on our hands, and we were inspired actually by another two libraries, specifically in Belgium, and another town in Kortrijk. So we are in the capital city in Brussels, like a city of 1.2 million people. So it's the biggest in Belgium, but we didn't have a tool library, and a smaller town actually did. So I was very intrigued, and it was this time when you might recall, we're still living in that age, but like everything needed an app. Everything needed to be digitized, and all of the venture capitalists were in building apps. And I figured, so I'm not originally from Brussels, but I moved in, and I I liked the city, but I had not really integrated as much as I would like to. And so basically, when I saw this example in this other town, I figured, well, I don't want to build apps, and I actually see a need for this. I mean, me and the people that I started this project with had basically the same problems. So Brussels is this, well, rather historic town with a lot of old buildings. I will come back to this later on, like who visits the two library, who visits the project. But so our context is that a lot of old houses need to be refurbished, and of course you need professionals. But to cut costs, many people do things themselves, and so me and basically everyone from my generation were in that situation. And yeah, the story, like where to get tools, it's all expensive, blah 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 blah. So we figured, oh right, there's an opportunity here, and for me personally, so that's why I'm telling you this story. It was actually one of the greatest ways, I think, in the 16, 17 years that I live in this town now, to actually give something back to the town, and through that actually get to know a lot of people, and not just organizations, but just people in different neighborhoods, people that I would then just randomly meet on the metro, tram, streets, sports clubs, parties, and I was like, oh yeah, you went to Tournevie. So basically, for me personally, it was um, uh, yeah, like there was a social dimension to it, and also because let's just put it out there. Ideologically, I think we need more solidarity in our society. We need to, I would say, we need to humanize our economy. So we see this project as an economic project first, but in a human-centered way. So, and I will surely come back to this later on. But when when we do an opening, people are not there like a client. So there's this dynamic of there's no hierarchies, and we want to show that it's perfectly possible to organize an economic tissue in a much more horizontal and just more humane way. So with that said, basically, well, you might have read this slide by now, but what we think is important also is to give access. So it's not just about tools, but it's also about the knowledge and about the network, like people that you can depend on if you're stuck for something. So it's to lower all the barriers and to give access to people to do things themselves and to empower them. I'm sure this will not come as a surprise to many of you if you've seen a few of these presentations before. But yeah, for us, like in our mission and our ideology, this is really, really key. And what we offer, and I'll show you some slides where you can see some of the tools that we offer, what people like to borrow at our place. But for us, the issue of having repairable objects, high quality stuff is important. I know that other tool libraries or libraries of things maybe have a different priority, but for us, because we wanted to provide a really substantial service, so we have like at this point maybe 300-400 power tools, and if you want to keep this running for 10 years, you don't want to have to find new stuff every week because things break. So for us, when people come to our project, this issue of quality and sturdiness and long durations of lifetimes of tools is very important. So this repair economy, some of the people who are in our volunteer team also work professionally in repair and all of that stuff. So are activists, and so that's also a very important dimension. Then, as Hazel mentioned, so we have the tool library, the concept that you all pretty much know, but we along part of the story is that people come to the library and then they say, yeah, it's great, but I have like an apartment. I really I don't have the space to actually properly build something. I need a workshop. So, and then, yeah, someone offered, okay, I want to have a professionally equipped workshop, specifically wood, and then we expanded to metal, just to do my own projects. But in return, I would offer all of the members who want to use that space to also use it. So it was like for him a way to cut costs. He didn't need to buy all of these expensive table saws and blah blah blah. And at the same time, all of our members all of a sudden got access to this magnificent space. So in a way, it's complementary to what we want to do. And again, lowering the barriers for people to do things themselves. It's not necessarily about making the stuff themselves. It's about, again, empowering people. A lot of people, you might have seen this in your own spaces, but they tried something out, they've never done it. If it costs a lot of money, if it's a lot of hassle, people are not going to start. They need all of the options in front of them at a low cost, at easy access. So that was sort of in 2018 we started this workshop, and then back then we were all volunteers. But then around, let's say, COVID times, as you can well imagine, sometimes these kind of projects, they become really time intensive. So at one point we said, okay, we need some support, basically you know, um, to ensure that there's continuity, that some of the things are done more professionally, like the financial side of things, accountancy, uh, all that kind of stuff that it's harder to find dedicated volunteers for, at least in our case. Most of the people, obviously, they want to help out in the library, in the workshop, and want to do stuff, want to hold stuff, want to talk to people. So we basically came to this business model where actually this year is the first year that we actually managed to do it. So we're actually the workshop and other activities finance or co-finance, let's say, the library, because just with subscriptions, it's always going to be very difficult. So you might have questions about that. We'll be happy to dive deeper into that, because that's always like the number one question that I get from other people in similar projects. But we found this careful balance where we make sure that the main, let's say, initiative, which is the library, can function without government subsidies, because where I live, this is very complicated to get structural support. So basically, that's where we are now. Yeah, the rest, I can talk a bit about why we see this as an open commons for those who are a bit familiar with the concept, in the sense that for us, everyone, so like most people start as a member, use the tools, become a volunteer, and then maybe become part of a core team. But everyone is welcome to sort of co-manage, like we are sort of the stewards of the tools, but also the knowledge, the practices, the relationships. So to ensure that everything goes smoothly, so that there's rules and that everyone abides by them. But it's perfectly open, and people can join us to maybe change them, or at least propose to change them in line with the vision. And so basically, we see each other as equals, without hierarchies, except for, of course, the hierarchies that are like sort of implicit. Let's say you can't just join and after 2 weeks say, well, I actually joined because you're a volunteer team, or your core team because I want this and this and that. No, I mean, you got to earn a bit your credentials, right? But for us, this commons dimension is I've mentioned quite a few important elements, but this is also like ideologically important thing. So with that said, I'll just this is just an overview. I've gone through the different services, except maybe mentioning that we also do tool trainings, obviously to learn how to use dangerous machinery, and also we do a lot of tailor-made projects. So the city is scattered with creations of ours, different people that we work together with. So there's like a big movement in Brussels with regards to reclaiming public spaces, specifically from cars, but also in general to provide. It's not just against cars; it's more a pro. So in favor of creating public spaces, especially where kids can play, where people can enjoy, relax, all of that stuff. And so what we often have done thus far, and there's some examples on our website, and I'll maybe show a few later, is that we make public benches, planters, all of that kind of stuff, even swings. I think, not sure if we have it. Yeah, there is a picture of that in one of the slides. Anyway, but usually we will partner up with a different organization in a different neighborhood where they see a need, because we're just, like, we cater to everyone in the city, but we don't know the specific problems or needs or challenges in 1.2 million people city. So we provide the expertise. Often these local groups, they come to our workshop, and then we'll co-create these pieces of furniture, and they'll also help making them, which give them a bit of ownership. When we install them, when people just get something in their neighborhood, then well, they might like it, but if they've put some effort into it, and if they feel like, yeah, this has to stay for next 5, 10 years or whatever, it just makes it more durable in time. So next, well, you know this story. I won't dive into that. You can check the slides later on if you want. So just about pricing, we because this I'm sure this is a thing that might come up, or at least in my case comes up often. So we started out a long time ago in 2015 with a 20 euro membership, but then we were all volunteers. So basically, you could borrow like 20 tools for 20 euros, which is insane. It doesn't work. I mean, it worked for us because we didn't have to pay wages. But we've had to ramp that up a bit. And for us, we've now come at this price point of 65. Well, actually, 2 weeks ago it was still 55, but we revisited our finances and we will have a loss if we don't move it up. We haven't changed it since inflation got up and the war in Ukraine, blah, blah, blah. So basically it's 65 euros, and you get, like with the standard membership, like you can get 5 power tools per week, and you can extend it another week. And then there's a few other tiers. We call it like renovation. That's like the most expensive one for people who really want to go, destroying walls and lots of work. And then you'll pay like what is it, 155 or something, and then you get an extra week as a standard loan duration. Anyway, so these are just a few basics, but just to say that we now opted for a tiered approach to make it more fair, because at first we only had one membership, and then we wanted to say, okay, the people who use it a bit less, are more, provide more solidarity to the people who use it more, because we're this commons organization, blah, blah. But then we did see that some people really abuse it, not intentionally, but we wanted to, at least have, with the different tiers, have a bit more fairness into it. Like if you use it more, then you contribute more. But we didn't, so we hesitated a long. We spent like a year to debate this, because we don't want to scare people off, and especially people with low incomes. And we thought that maybe this might give a stigma to people who could not afford it. But so these are very heated discussions internally. But in the end, we had to do it anyway to stay viable financially. But on the social dimension, also happy to exchange. This is always a recurring thing, especially in a capital city, which is like in Europe, the 4th most richest region in Europe. But at the same time, we have like 1/3 of the population living below or at the level of poverty. So that gives you a bit the flavor of the income disparities, and so why we do pay attention to this issue. Here's a few snapshots of how it looks like. Below on the right, you see the repair room, which I need to update that. It looks much nicer now, much cleaner. But yeah, so basically it's like, I would say 75 square meters of tool library. And then in the next slides, you'll see that we have like more than 500 square meters of workshop. Voila. Just a small selection of the kind of tools. So it's basically anything you need to renovate, repair stuff, to make stuff. Your drills, your sanders, your grinders. So what we don't have is what we get all the time, again, because old city, old buildings, sanders for wooden floors. People just, every week we get these questions, but these pieces of machinery cost like 5,000 euros. It's too expensive for us, and it's big, cumbersome. So so that's what we don't have, but we will have like these big demolition hammers, or even compressors, or even scaffolds, like up to 3 meters. People who want to paint their ceilings. I think you get the idea. Then, just to give you an idea of what people do with their stuff. So on the bottom left, on the left-hand side of the slide, it's actually a tool cabinet that one of our workshops users made to store his tools in our workshop. So I thought that was kind of nice that he, made with our tools something that he would use in our workshop. So yeah, and then you'll see the planters on the top right. I thought that was a really nice project, like someone whose toilet lid broke, like in porcelain, and then decided, yeah, I'm gonna upgrade it, and made this all by herself. Wow, amazing, I think. And then kids making stone boxes, that kind of stuff. Outdoor theater spaces, kind of, furniture, that kind of stuff. Yeah, and then this on the left hand side, B-Scope, it's actually a cooperative supermarket. It's in the United States. You have in New York, Park Slope. You probably know it. It's exactly the same concept. It works magnificently. We have a few actually now in Brussels. And so basically they made all their furniture with our tools. So we actually cater to a lot of this kind of organizations that can, furnish their stores or their film sets or whatever for really low cost. It's almost free for them, I would say. And then on the right, that was also a nice example I found. It's this street artist who attached these pieces of art. It's debatable, but I would say it's pieces of art. On the canal sides. Some more examples. And maybe the one in the middle, that's kind of cool. So basically, you see a bike trailer, and so we have this metal shop that I mentioned earlier, and there's a project called Remorquable, and they're basically like a library for bike trailers, and they make their bike trailers in our metal workshop. So they made like, I don't know, 50 or something, and they're now spread out all over town. And then sometimes, people come to borrow stuff with that bike trailer, which is I find that lovely, actually. So and in the background, so basically you see wood storage. Just for your information, in the past we actually offered secondhand, like reclaimed wood or locally and sustainably sourced wood that would otherwise be exported to China. Actually, as an additional offer to people. So basically, the entrance is to the right of the bike trailer, and people would say, "Oh, you also sell this wood?" It was really nice, but financially it was a bit too complicated with logistics and stuff. But yeah, just as an anecdote. So here's just an idea of how the place looks like the wood workshop. People can take coaching lessons or whatever if they need to. Some more nice pictures, which I could skip. The person on the left, the girl there, she's actually the one who makes the bike trailers. So, voila. Yeah. So like I said, we do basic training. We used to have a lot more training sessions, like creating objects, but the person who offered these courses is no longer in the organization. So now we downscaled it a bit to just basically what you need to be able to use the shop. But it varies. If someone joins us and wants to do courses, we've had someone do like these Japanese knife making courses, which are apparently like in that niche world is like the most exquisite thing you can craft. And so yeah, sometimes people come over to do an ad hoc workshop. So yeah, some examples of people doing wood turning. Wood turning, I didn't know that, but it's super popular around here. People like to do it. I think it's also because it's a bit zen, or what's the word? Mindfulness. It takes quite a bit of time. It's slow. It's kind of repetitive. But anyway, I don't know how to do it myself, so maybe I'm just talking nonsense. But it's really popular. Yeah. So we do also bikes, chainsaw, safety and maintenance. Kind of funny, you would say, like, aren't you guys, circular economy, not cutting trees is maybe not your thing, but trees get cut anyway. And so we have the tools, but you can only use them if you've taken a course, like certified or with Tournevie. And actually quite a few municipalities so we have like 19 municipalities in Brussels, and even it's kind of strange to consider this even, but these people take courses with Tournevie so they can cut trees. Yeah, yeah. Anyway, so we provide that service to the government basically. Yeah, well, here, forget about the text. It's just a few examples of some benches that we made around town. We also have this cargo bike. You see me on the top right. So we can use that actually to do mobile workshops. So we put some tools inside, and then can go to a square, and then Wilhelmine, who is right now our tool instructor, she can. Right now we focus a lot on kids. So again, it's based on the skills and interests of whoever joins us, as long as it's within the mission. Uh, Perfectly fine. And so she does a lot of these workshops with and sometimes uses the cargo bike that we custom made ourselves, of course. Yeah, some more examples of yeah, that's the swing that I mentioned earlier, on the right hand side. Yeah, and maybe hold on. I've been talking a lot, and yeah, I'll finish with this. So just to give you an idea of the size and the importance or like impact, let's say. So I told you earlier, like 400 power tools, more or less. You can see sort of I think the value, the replacement value is much higher now. It's just that I don't have the latest numbers, but that doesn't matter. It's a lot of money basically, and we did that through the purchase of a lot of secondhand tools that we then repaired ourselves. I have a really great picture of one tool in particular. I'll show that afterwards, like the number of times that it had been borrowed. Anyway, so we have like 550 active members each year, more or less. And like it's 50-50 in terms of men and women, which we might say, well, I mean, maybe if we're biased, we might say that's surprising, but I can say after 10 years, it's no longer surprising. It's perfectly normal. And I would say we don't have the pensioners, let's say, because usually they already have their stuff. They belong to that generation. Or they just maybe have less projects in this city context. I don't know. And we don't have the like students, except for students who do art or film, or that, all of them go to Tournevie. But like, people who just study here in Brussels and then need to refurbish so basically that's still a niche that we still have to cover. So you can see that we that we loan like about 200 tools per week, which is, because we open twice a week. It's really intense actually. Our opening hours are always bustling, which is nice actually. It's people are just standing there, like our volunteers standing there being a bit bored. That would be nice. So just to say that there's a lot of demand. if we would have the funding, external funding or otherwise, to open up other antennas in town, which actually is our long-term dream, then I'm 100% sure I don't need an expensive consultancy study. I know it. We feel it. We have it's just we could open like at least 4 or 5 more, and demand would still be there. Um, yeah, you can see the number of repair tickets, very important. Won't come back to that. And then yeah, the loans of our most popular tool. The This year it was or last year it was a vacuum cleaner. It's not so sexy, but um, the record holder is our Festool circular, so I can show you a picture. But and the figure is wrong. It's we've borrowed it, and I checked yesterday 246 times, and that was our very first tool that we just purchased secondhand. It was broken, and our tool ninjas repaired it, and it's still going strong. So Festool is, such a great brand. Yeah, I'll just show you the picture. This is the one. This is a picture of when it was borrowed 100 times, but in the meantime, yeah, a lot more. So I won't go into all of my, more corporate slides, like to convince public authorities why we're so good and blah blah blah. You feel free to check it out and be inspired. I think, for some projects who are starting out, it could be like helpful as arguments. But I'll just leave it at this. Whatever. So happy to have your question.
Olivier, so great. That was wonderful. You guys don't know, I got to preview these slides before, and I was like, oh, I'm looking forward to this even more. Yes, I want to hear it all, but we won't have time to hear it all. So,
Yeah, no.
um, I also really wish I met you about 10 years ago because we started in where I am. Everyone here is from all over, but I'm in the state of Maine in the northeastern United States. And we started the Maine Tool Library. It sounds like exactly when you guys were starting this. And it would have been
Mm,
so helpful because we were having the
mm,
same equity conversations and things like that. We were wrestling with this. So, anyway, I just
mm.
really appreciated your storytelling on that because it brought me back.
Yeah,
We have a lot of questions for you, and I'm sure there's more of folks who didn't put them in chat. But what I'll do is I'll start with some of the ones in chat and ask them, and then maybe you can, I'm sure they'll inspire more. They usually do.
yep.
Um, quick question, a little bit about how you got that space. I know you said that there was a benefactor for part of, the expansion into the makerspace, but for the tool library, how did you acquire that initial building?
Uh, Well, first thing to say is that actually this is, I think, our fifth location.
Oh,
Yeah. We struggle in the beginning, but at the same time, this has allowed us to test and um, experience different environments. For example, the very first place that we were at was actually, so we had an actual proper makerspace just next door, and a great travelers bar. I don't know how to translate this. Otherwise, it's basically targeted at travelers, but basically, so we had a sort of a nice meeting place. So
cool.
actually, that's when we got started, and we only had like 3 cupboards. We had, yeah, it was not impressive, but it was a really cool space, and word got around. Yeah, that worked really well as a start, and it was pretty easy because it was small, and um, it was sort of run by this community organization that was kind of looking for projects like ours. So it was basically free, well, almost free. So
Yep.
actually, starting out really easy. Um, I think also in terms of funding, by the way, we did we did a crowdfunding. Um, Really, I would advise everyone to do it. It's just a great way, well, of course, to have some startup funding, but as a way of communications, it's just unbeatable. And we had the chance, actually, I think, thanks to that crowdfunding, probably a TV crew who made this series on startups uh, found out about us, and we were basically on for 4 weeks we were on television, and we were in the category weird. Yeah, yeah. But
Ah, that's a badge of honor right there.
totally, totally, totally. But then, so basically, yeah, we had to move out, and then we actually used a different space owned by, let's say, I don't know how to translate that, but like the local municipality service for um, um, people who are not even on unemployment benefits, but on a living wage. Does that even exist in the United States? I don't even know. But basically, we have this system where if you don't even have an unemployment benefit, you can have a sort of living revenue. Basically, they had this building with a storefront, like windows. Oh, that was amazing. People would just pass by and look at this. And, we made it a bit nice and hip and with plants, and so people with tools, and that was great. And we moved around a few more, but so maybe the story about our current place is so it's what is called an occupation précaire, like precarious occupation. Yeah, literal translation of a building that has been empty for like 15 years. And then the city authorities said, okay, we're going to slap a tax on it because this is unacceptable. It's like a dilapidated building. Voilà. And then all of a sudden they panicked, and you have to know the owner of the building is actually the federal government. Uh, it's crazy. And it's in prime location. It's like in the European area where all of the, European Commission and lobbyists are. Like it's prime real estate. Anyway, so instead of paying taxes, they got us, and we avoided for them like hundreds of thousands of taxes. And so we thought like we negotiated, okay, but we'll get it for free, right? Yeah, we get it for free, and then yeah, and then in the end we still had to pay something. Long story. We felt unfairly treated, but this is always the case. If you're an organization like ours, you're usually not in a very strong position. We needed a space quite quickly, and the space was, more than 500-600 square meters where you could make noise, make things dirty, close to metros, bike lanes. We even have parking spots. So basically, yeah. So that's basically how we got it. Lots of details, but I won't.
So,
I'll spare you
so
the nasty
I was gonna
ones.
say, I have a feeling you have so many stories about some of these things. It has been a process for sure. And again, remember, Olivier's a volunteer, you guys. So
Yeah,
amazing.
yeah.
Um, which is why we're meeting after his full-time job, which is not this. Which is amazing though, right? Community works. It really does if we work together. So
Yeah.
Lisa actually, who's on the call, said that she was able to visit you guys last week and got a wonderful tour from someone maybe named Robbie. And
Ah,
it was
yes.
really fun. So she said amazing space and it's super awesome. So that's super cool. And
Ah,
then we have
wonderful.
some other kind of basic. Also, Karen loved the pictures of what the community is making. I think that's something we all should do more of. I know I got inspired when I saw yours, and I thought I should do more of that, like a photo booth, what you made with the Library of Things.
Mm.
So thanks for that because that was genius. Um, so how many? So you said 500 members ish, it
Move
changes.
on.
But then in the workshop, are what do you do with kind of the consumable stuff, like saw blades and or
Ah,
screws and woods and nails? Do you, as the workshop, take that on, or do people just are there donations aplenty? That was a good question from
mm.
Christine.
So the two library and the workshop work separately. So you take a subscription for
Uh,
both separately. Um, and in the tool library, basically, saw blade, well, you can either buy one. We sell everything a piece, and what you don't use, we buy back. So a lot of, especially with sanding paper, people usually don't have a clue how much they need. So they, instead of going to the shop and buying like 5 boxes and then, oh, I only use one. So basically they just buy everything they think they need, and then we'll buy just everything back. Um, in the workshop, it's a bit more complicated in the sense that, for the big, band saws or something, so the saw, the sanding paper, well, we don't change it that often, but there are a number of consumables and even tools. For example, the wood turning tools, for those who are a bit more into that. So we actually have wood turning tools that people can use, but yeah, they're not always, maintained well, unfortunately. And actually, in the end, what happens is most people, they like their own little tools. If they're that deep into, a craft, to start off, crappy tool, well, or less well-maintained tools, it's okay. But at one point, you'll get your own tools anyway. So there's like, I can't give you one definitive answer for the workshop, but I think maybe for your audience, the tool library is maybe more relevant, and there it's just we sell it. And then with the exception of, so we have like the consumables that we sell, and then there's let's say we call it accessories. Let's say the circular saw blade. It's not a consumable that you throw away after each use. It lasts a long time, but then either it breaks, teeth break, or it needs to be sharpened. So there's some costs involved, and usually it's quite costly. You can hardly use like circular saw blades of 50, 60 euros. And then so basically what we'll do is we'll just divide the cost between the members, and so you pay a usage fee. So you have the membership
Sure.
fee, and then of course there's the usage fees, and well, it's only fair to ask the person who used the circular saw blade to contribute, but it's really small amounts, like 2 euros, 3 euros, or sometimes 1 euro. It's really just to cover the costs. It's not for us a way to squeeze more money from people. Um, yeah,
No, that
but,
makes total
yeah.
sense. No, it's really great because you're talking to folks. Some of them have a makerspace. Some of them are in a kind of a
Mm,
traditional library. Some of them have.
uh,
So we're coming one.
yeah, okay.
Some are from a school library. So you're actually coming from folks from all different.
Okay.
We're more traditional libraries versus on the
Mm,
wonderful tool library listserv, which I know you're
mm,
part of. Um, but it's still, we all are very different in what we can and cannot do. So,
yeah, yeah,
on
yeah.
that note, I think something that's a concern. So two questions, I guess, that follow up from what you just said. One is, um, you know, you mentioned, purchasing and then doling out. Do you have any pushback from local businesses, or do you tend to work with local businesses? And
Mm,
how does that relationship work for you? Because
mm,
we've heard a lot of good
mm,
stories
yes.
about that, but there's always some
Mm,
quirky ones.
mm. Well, our experience, my and our experiences are
Yeah.
primarily positive. In fact, so one of our tool ninjas, tool ninjas, you know what I mean,
Yeah. I
is
love that you call
actually
them tool
worked
ninjas.
actually worked for Makita, one of these quality brands, for like
Hmm.
8 years. And so he has a number of contacts. And so at first we tried with them, okay, can't we do a deal where we, buy some of the stock you didn't sell or whatever at a reduced price? And it was very difficult for some reason, despite the fact that he was, and he knew these people well. I think in the beginning we were just small fry, and we did have a few donations actually from people. They knew us, they appreciated us, and they thought like these guys are they're not a threat, basically.
Right.
But I would say that right now, so we're actually in the process of buying like at least 10,000 euros worth of new tools. So and there in the region, well, country where I live, we now have maybe like 10 to 15 tool libraries, and it's actually my long-term dream that we would somehow be able to collect our forces and maybe have like an account with one of these dealers where we could, get a percentage off. But this is following the model where you purchase, the really expensive stuff. then
Yep.
it makes sense.
The
Um,
Oh,
yeah,
sorry. I just wanted to
okay.
give you a heads up. The UK, someone in the UK is doing it where they're actually they're getting discounts and they're reporting
Mm,
back to
mm,
because they were interested in from a circular economy perspective. And so I think it's one of the UK library of things. So if I find them, I might ask on the, or if you're really interested, ask on the listserv because I would love to have them share that model and how they
yeah,
actually
yeah,
got
yeah,
in and got into that contact. But I think you have a better shot over in the EU on that.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And then there's another thing actually. So you have the you know the people over at the manufacturers, but then there's just hardware stores in town. Like, unfortunately, I guess it's the same thing in the same situation in the United States, but where there's more and more consolidation, concentration of the market in the hands of the big and powerful and wealthy, and we squeeze all the small middlemen. But when we started, so actually around the corner there was a hardware store. The guy was close to his pension, and he liked us again, and we had some good deals with him. And actually, we bought like for at a ridiculously low price a lot of his stock when he actually closed his business for
Yeah.
good. But yeah, like I said, so these sources are drying up, unfortunately. Um, so yeah, there's that.
No,
Uh,
all great
yeah,
stuff.
and
I want to
yeah.
go ahead.
Just one last thing, we actually have purchased a lot through auctions.
Ah,
Would
great,
recommend
great tip.
everyone to check that. Yeah.
What about, so, you brought up you have these repair ninjas, love that you, or tool ninjas, love you call them that, repair folks. Um, so something some folks brought up, like, do you require competency tests or do you or you mentioned you provided training. Do you have those documents? Have you shared that? Like, are they open source?
Uh,
Because I was gonna say, I was thinking, I know that I haven't seen it on the listserv yet for the tool listserv, which for those of you listening, if you do, there's a the reason we did a Google group for this group is because there's an amazing international tool library listserv that you can all join. It's linked to from the Lot Mutual Aid group. But I was thinking, instead of reinventing the wheel all the time, if someone started sharing those, we could all riff off each other. And I was curious, yeah, so there's a couple of questions about kind of, do you have that training material and stuff?
uh,
And do you share it, or is it more in person? I know the
Specifically on
national,
repair.
yeah, well, on repair or just even the training you do with your tools. I know the National
Mm.
Repair Alliance in the US started sharing some of it now that they've kind of organized a bit more, but I didn't know if there was something similar over where you are.
Well, so basically, we have done a number of specific repair train, like we wanted to do a train the trainer kind of approach.
Yeah,
Um, we've done that a few times, but yeah, I think it can work for really, really basic stuff. But to get, into diagnostics of really more complicated stuff, it's beyond basically the capacity that we have. Thomas was like, let's say, the main person who does repairs with a few others. He does it on a freelance basis because the workload was too important for him to do it just as a volunteer. And so there's this threshold that you need to get over for people to be independent. And so I think he would find it very difficult to write this all down and to reinvent the wheel. It's more you learn as you go. So basically, we have so like one person in particular, for example, that I'm thinking of right now. He knows a bit about electronics and stuff, but yeah, he's maybe not, he maybe doesn't have that experience specifically with tools and of different brands. They're all made differently, and so he's been there for maybe 1 year and a half, and so you get the hang of it, but it takes a long time, unfortunately. So we don't have that in writing or anything, and it's the same thing with using the tools in the workshop. It's basically a few basic trainings where you get an explanation and you try out things. I think if you want more developed things, YouTube and other materials might exist. And I would say that we don't necessarily need to reinvent that wheel.
Yeah.
Um, but I have seen in the past people who have tried to sort of make an inventory of the most important repairs. But unfortunately, I can't really remember where that was. Maybe it was on the list server. Um,
No worries. No, well, and what I guarantee you, these folks will keep asking the questions, and we'll I'll keep figuring out. Oh, well, maybe we should do that. We're trying to start sharing some videos of like the videos that we all lend with our tools, and consolidate them in a central resource for those of us who can. Those of us, there are many of us who can't and do not do that. So it just depends. Um, I think we have just enough time for Kelsey has two questions. So I'm going to ask you those and then I'm going to let you go because even though I know it's not too late, but still, you hopefully have an evening left for you. Um,
yeah.
and and so Kelsey's questions are these, which is, do you have an organizational schema kind of for your tools? Like and she makes a good point that we actually had a question on the listserv about this just last week, and you might have a really good example for, oh yeah, we organize them just like that, in as a hardware store does, or we have we do plumbing tools here and this there. And then the second question is you have really amazing cases. We can
Yeah.
see them in the pictures. Those come with the tools, or did you source them somewhere?
Cases are like a constant issue. Like we all struggle so hard to find the proper
Uh,
case for things that don't come with cases. It takes so much
yeah.
time.
Well, on that, well, over the years, we we have been holding on to our cases and repurposed them, and so we actually like rejig them a bit. I mean, like move the plastic a bit to fit new tools, which can be a bit, tricky and time consuming, but cases are valuable. Um, we've also had sometimes the chance to recuperate empty cases, like a batch of empty cases. So I don't have like a ready-made solution for you to say, oh, that's um, other than having again these auctions for us they've done wonders. So if you haven't checked that out, then maybe it's a place to look. Um, and on the first question, remind me again, if you have
Yeah,
it.
no, so the first question is a little trickier in a way, and no worries, no magic wand for the tool cases. I hear you. We don't have it either. But the first question is, we had questions about how you organize your library. So what's your organizational schema? Like, do you put plumbing tools in
Ah,
one
yeah,
section? Do
yeah,
you
yeah,
have
yeah.
everything on a grid and then you know to go to A, zone C? What does your organization system look like?
Yeah, right now. So mm, yeah, I'm not sure if no, thought maybe a picture would help it. No, basically we do organize everything by tool category. Like uh, let's say so we have a main shelf space, and then you'll have all of the circular saws and then reciprocating saws. And so we basically also already anticipate that we'll buy new ones in the future so that we can add some more. But and then it's just right now, it's just in chronological order. We give them codes like, in our case, it's TE001. It's the first tool we got. And we'll just add numbers, but we'll at least right now. So the numbers don't say anything of what kind of tool it is, except that it's an electric tool like TE. Um, and so you can have like a TE001 in one space and then TE010. So voilà. So we group all of the tools together. So basically, our volunteers know, lots of people, they reserve something, it's not what they need. And then, oh yeah, maybe a different kind of sender or a different kind of billet. And then volunteer can immediately go and check. all right, I see this one's available. I'll just take so because if you do everything chronologically, yeah, that's very complicated, I think. And then yeah, we'll have different codes for hand tools, for well, consumables, for protection gear and stuff like that. But that's just for our database to have a bit of a um, for internal purposes. But in terms of the tool library, everything is well ordered. Very important.
And your visitor just put an amazing picture in the chat of one of the
Yeah.
tools that she took a picture of that says, and you even labeled the parts with ABC, which is really
Ah,
helpful, I
yeah.
think, too. Yeah.
We've done that. We've put a lot of work in that, but I have to be honest that not 100% of the tools are like that, as time went on. And then, yeah, sometimes like a battery goes missing and then it's no longer 100% perfect. But we've we've done our best to at least have an idea. And it's also very important because yeah, sometimes like a volunteer doesn't know how many spare batteries are in a box. So yeah, if the description on the website says has two spare batteries or something, but he only sees one, is it that person who lost it or the so it's good that if it says okay, two spare batteries in the box, then when the tool is checked before a loan, then everything's there. It's a bit of work, but we'll save you a hassle later on.
Amazing. Yeah, a bit of work, but just a bit of work that you do for fun. It's amazing. Olivia, I am so impressed. I want to call it because I've already kept you a minute over. But everyone, thank you so very much. Olivia, thank you so much for coming and answering these questions, and most importantly, for all the good work you do for in Brussels. I'm
Yeah,
so inspired by this, and yeah, I took some notes and things that I want to copy, which is always the
yeah.
case. So thank you for sharing.
Thanks for
Uh,
having me, and good luck to everyone actually in their respective projects. Yeah,
well, we might.
spread the love.
Yeah, well, you are always, of course, welcome to join the Library of Things mutual aid group if you want to. But if not else, I will definitely see you on the Tool Library listserv at some point. I've seen you on there before.
Yeah,
So,
for sure.
yay.
Great.
All right.
All right.
Well, thank you so much. And thank you, everyone. If you want, we have another lecture because it's got rescheduled from uh, March. And so it's going to be this Friday about from the tool libraries, or not tool, term Toy Library Association. So Minnesota Toy Library and then the Toy Library Association of America, not France. Although I asked them too, but they just didn't answer. So maybe we'll get France soon. All right. Thank you all so much. A special thanks to you, Olivier. Bye.
Bye bye.